um, Paul is writing to his young protege by the name Timothy, and he is writing 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 6 to encourage Timothy in his new role as a church leader. And chapter 6 begins with a description of true godliness. And here Apostle Paul is telling Timothy, or he is warning Timothy about the people who think that godliness is a means to financial gain. And he says that godliness with contentment is great gain. I want to talk to you about living in the gap and also living in the gain. Where you are going is living in the gap. You see, the visions you have, what you want to do tomorrow, that is living in the gap. And living in the gap, uh, it is where you even mama. Living in the gap is where you complain because of what you don't have right now. Where you are coming from is living in the gain. And this is where you remember where you are coming from. You remember the doings of the Lord, the far he has brought you, the far you have come, and now you are full of gratitude. That is living in the gain. Living in the gain is where you measure progress from where you are coming from. Living in the gap is living in negativity. There is nothing good you can account that the Lord has done for you. And now we need to understand that happiness outside means you are living in the gap. Happiness in the inside is living in the gain. You can be going through tough times, but you still have the joy of the Lord in you. That is living in the gain. But when happiness is outside, when you are happy because of the things you have, that is living in the gap. I want to remind ourselves that nothing is enough, and nothing will be enough in this world. When you are living in the gap, it is when you want to have more and more and more. And I'm not saying this that you need to be comfortable with what you have or where you are, but you can choose where you are to live in the gain. You thank the Lord. Praise be the name of the Lord. And I want to say this: choose to be happy. Happiness is the choice. Choose happiness. There is no way to happiness, believers, but happiness is the way. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. Enjoy where you are. That is living in the gain. Be happy with who you are. That is living in the gain. We need to have a mindset shift, and we thank God for where we are. That is living in the gain. And living in the gain, you are contented with yourself. Okay? You don't pursue happiness. No, you choose to be happy. Happiness is internal. Happiness is not external. We are not happy because of what we have, but we choose to be happy because happiness is internal. And we see we see the Bible saying that the joy of the Lord is my strength. When your happiness is found outside, and when I talk about happiness outside, this is in material possessions or what you acquire. That is living in the gap. This is living in the gap. And when you are in the gap, this is where you complain, and this is where you murmur. The gain, living in the gain, it is the path to fulfillment, brethren. And living in the gain is where you measure against your past self. This is where you acknowledge. This is where you celebrate. This is where you appreciate the distance that you have traveled and the growth you have achieved. In the gain, this is where you foster gratitude. And we see someone like David saying, your praises shall continually be in my lips. This is a person who fostered gratitude. This is a man who was living in the gain. He said, God, I know where I'm coming from. He measured against his past self. God, you have brought me from very far. This is living in the gain. Praise be the name of the Lord. You naturally feel more thankful for what you have, living in the gain. And living in the gain, it's where you increase your confidence and you provide energy to continue. And this is where you say, if the Lord did it for me yesterday, today, and tomorrow he will do even more than what I can think or imagine. This is living in the gain. But living in the gap is where you complain. You are not grateful. You are not grateful to God. You are always complaining. You don't celebrate the small progresses you have done. You don't celebrate the small gains that you have. Remember, godliness with contentment is great gain. Choose to be happy, my brother. Choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice. You can be going through hell, but you can choose to be happy. Paul reminded Timothy, godliness with contentment is great gain. And Paul said something very important, that I have learned to be content in whatever situation. When I'm in plenty, I choose to be happy. When I am in lack, I choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice. It is a choice you make. That today I'm crying. Tomorrow I know things will not be the same as today. Praise be the name of the Lord. Contentment is an art that you learn. Contentment is an art that you learn. Paul learned to be contented in whatever situation. And when you are contented, that is living in the gain. But in the gap, when you are in lack, you are not happy. You are angry. Living in the gap is where it's where comparison comes in. You start questioning God. My age mates are doing much better than me. God, what is wrong with me? That is living in the gap. God, I'm sick. What is not happening? You are the God that healeth thee. You are the God that heals people. Why am I sick? It is living in the gap. But when you are living in the gain, even in the midst of sickness, you can still afford a smile. You can stand and say like Paul, for me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Choose to live in the gain. This is where you celebrate your small successes. This is where you celebrate what the Lord is doing, and you are grateful. Living in the gain, you foster gratitude, believing and knowing that God is much able to do